counties in the district. The first round, we approved applicants in 7 of those counties. And the one thing you will notice is that again, in the orange color, those are the ones that are for the irrigation retrofit. You'll notice where they're located normally at the top of the basin, and that's because the ones who are located farther down the basin will fall under the BP program. As any good person would say, I would rather spend other people's money than ours, and so that's why we did, we spent BP's funds first for those retrofits. Something that you'll also notice, I'll get into it in just a second, is the red dots are those that are part of our demonstration projects. There's 7 of those, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And the blue are the ones that are more for the management tools, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just 1 second. So, again, same period for applications, October 10th through November 2nd. The first quarter included 11 center pivot retrofits, and again, those are the ones that are actually outside of the Swanee and Santa Fe Basin. They were in the Upper Swanee, Wapaha, Wibblacoochee, or in the Upper Swanee. The groundwater savings are estimated at 176 million gallons annually, or about 500,000 gallons per day for those 11 center pivots that will be retrofitted. And again, those are the ones that's in orange on the map. The others included the 2 demonstration projects we mentioned. There's going to be 5 subsurface irrigation demonstrations, and that will reduce the consumption of water, we believe, by at least 30%. We're thinking more like 50% or greater, and that's just in the evaporative losses, because again, this irrigation pipeline, subsurface drip tape, will actually be put in at about 8 inches underground, so get directly to the root zone. There are 5 of those who request to participate. 1 is going to be for a pasture, it's actually at a dairy. 2 are vegetable farms, and the other 2 are actually row crops. They feel like this can be something a way in the future for them. That's what we mentioned. It's not only for vegetables, also row crops. The second demonstration that we included was for 2 swing arm systems, or something called corner arms. Those will actually eliminate the use of end guns, and we feel like will drastically increase your irrigation efficiency and uniformity. These are all those 7 demonstrations are the ones that are in red, and they're scattered out throughout the district, trying to maximize and spread those cost your dollars out. The next ones I'll mention are more management tools. Those include 21 soil moisture probes, which will allow the growers to determine what the plant water demand more accurately than a hand soil test of grabbing the soil and feeling to see if it's dry. They actually accurately have that in that root zone area to know when that water, or when that plant has that demand for water. We included 5 weather stations were requested. Those weather stations will help the growers monitor rainfall, wind speed, evapotranspiration rates, temperature, among many other things, radiation they actually can show. Again, the idea is helping the grower give them more information to be able to accurately know when that system has demand. And again, our hope is to actually eliminate irrigation events, because they now know what that plant needs, and if there's not a need, they can eliminate an event, which they normally would, just because they think that well, it's been so many days, I need to do this, turn the system on. We had 30 requests to upgrade their irrigation controllers. That's actually on the panel boxes. And these new panels will allow for fertigation. They'll allow for greater control of irrigation rates. They allow for GPS-enabled shut-offs of end guns, and many other features that are allowed, which other older controllers just do not have. They have on-off switch, and that was really about it. So these new panels will allow for much better control of their irrigation methods. There were 14 requests for pump upgrades to reduce wells that were originally put in place, and pumps that were put in place for traveling guns, so they were high pressure, high volume. This will actually help reduce the pressure and will increase the uniformity of that water supply by reducing that pressure. And reduce the pressure and reduce the volume that's applied. And finally, we had 38 requests to remotely control the irrigation system, so they can control that from their computer or their smartphone. And they can control the irrigation system and be able to monitor whether it's on, making sure that it's operating properly. Again, if you tie that to the weather station or soil moisture probe, they can be in a separate county somewhere else, and to be able to actually shut off that irrigation system if there's a rain event that's coming, or if they see that it's just not needed, the scheduling says it should be today, but they find out through the moisture sensor or some other method that's not needed, they can actually shut those things off. With these management tools, we estimate that they will lead to a savings of 391 million gallons annually, or just over 1 million gallons per day. The total cost share funds for this quarter alone is just over $512,000. The growers portion will be about 33% of those funds. And the funds were budgeted in the adopted fiscal year 2013 budget. The attachment A, which you barely see, but hopefully it's better on your actual paper copy. It includes the approved producers' names and the number of systems for the first round. As I mentioned, the next round of applications will close on January 4th, and we'll have just as many, if not more, producers who apply. Those applications are proposed to be presented at the February 19th. That was a lot, but if you have any questions, please. We had a great response on a lot of them.
Mr. Chairman, I got a couple questions. One, just an observation, so that's about $500,000 per million gallons per day. Cost in the budget. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But other question was the weather records. Do we have a need, maybe Megan can answer, do we have a need for that weather information, or do we have enough rainfall?
Without her answer, I could probably tell you yes. Without her saying
Do we
that.
have access to that? I mean, are they remote?
That should be something we include, and the overall idea that we're hoping is we have the on weather stations for growers, but there's only 3 in our district. We're hoping that long term, that we can actually have these to fill in the gaps, to be able to get better data not only for our growers, but for our CLUs too.
So is that part of the program that we have access to this?
Yes.
But the cost is just initial cost, it's a continuation of this being an effective tool that is used long term, so
Absolutely.
it's more than just that first
Absolutely.
million gallons we talked
Yes.
about.
Good point.
Yes.
You know, one of the things is, as we were talking, you know, we all get complaints probably from time to time, what's these irrigation systems running after, it's raining? And, what we found out, especially some of these large operations, you got people, maybe got one person that sees about the irrigation, is if he goes by, turns the irrigation system on, an hour later it starts raining, it may be 8 hours before he's back to that location, or maybe the next morning, and so you can't turn that system off. It just doesn't, the time and distance does not allow him to do that. With these remote systems, once that happens, and if he especially has a pro that's providing him that information, he automatically, that either will automatically be turned off, or he will have the ability on his smartphone to actually turn it off. So, those kinds of things are beneficial. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of that going on.
And Mr. Chairman, just want to mention that as with the DEP contract, these will also have the same conditions about the automated monitoring for the permits, and have to have an updated permit and sign up with the DAX BMPs.
One question, what size farms do you see that, more put in applications? Are they larger farms? Do you get out that mix of size farms put in applications?
A very good mix, actually. We were actually surprised. I would say that out of the district and DEP, there's a total of 40 growers who applied or who were approved. There's actually 51 growers who applied, but some of them applied for things that we just could not do a cost share on, fertigation or fertilizer spreaders, and it just wasn't part of this initial thing. But out of the 40 who were approved, a very good split, and I would say that, if I remember correctly, that we limited it to 4 irrigation systems, and only 4 applicants had more than 4. So those were the larger farms. So it was really a great split from some that had 1, and some that had 2, 3, and others again had 2. So, and again, we're trying to have that limit of about 4 systems, and then we can spread that out, but allow a grower who has multiple ones to come back next round or next year. Again, we don't have coverage for the resource benefit.
There's something not right with this whole
But we want to make
program.
sure we can try as much as possible to spread that out.
You know, when they initially announced it, it was like, what?
Mainly it's been one-on-one conversations with our partnership staff. We did do press releases, but the biggest majority, I would say, is actually from our partnership staff getting out there. And when growers come in for a use permit or something else to talk to them, hey, did you realize this is out there? We do have a website that lists everything from our district site. On the main page, there's on the left-hand column, the first line says agriculture, and from there it talks about our new ag team, and it has a link to our cost share page. Again, trying to get that out as much as possible, have people acknowledge that it's out there.
It's like,
And again, really good thing my state's mention is with, back in October, they were good for 4 years. So if someone doesn't make it this far, they have the ability to impact them.
Further discussion?
I will, but I won't say it today, here, I'll
Yes.
say it.
Yep, I have a couple of quick questions, if you don't mind. Going back to your items 14 and 15 with the permits, you use the number of inches as opposed to millions of gallons per day. Then you went back to the millions of gallons per day on 16 and 17. Can you help me out with that?
This is something that we began to do about a year and a half ago to talk, when we talk about growers, to talk about inches annually, to help relate, because sometimes we're having a hard time to understand that a farm that's 500 acres compared to one that's 3,000 acres, and how do you compare that accurately? And that's when we began to talk to them sort of as a unit number of inches annually. The other reason we did that is to sort of show a relationship between what a homeowner can use. Our current, and most districts have pretty equivalent same irrigation landscape rule, and for a landscape, homeowners are actually allowed to water up to 58 inches annually.
Is that an acre inch or what?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So trying to compare to show what the growers are using, again, trying to how do you compare that scalable and to a homeowner, to show that these growers, significantly, a third, a half to a third of the water that a homeowner is actually allowed to use.
Just, I hate to waste too much time, but the first permit was 503 acres,
Yes, sir.
and that was 36.8 inches. And the second one was 947 acres at 26.4 inches. Okay, and then on item 25, we're saving 2 million gallons per day with this new system.
Yes, sir.
And what percentage of the water being pumped would that 2 million gallons per day represent? Or do we have that data?
I can do that to you. I've just, off the top of my head, I do not know.
And I'd be curious about the same question for item 17 of the 1 million gallon per day.
Sure. Absolutely. That's off the top of my head, I do not know. I think I have a rough figure, but I don't want to say something wrong.
Thank you.
One of the things too, for comparison, you mentioned the one had 36 inches, and the other 20-something. A lot of it too depends on crop types and rotations. So you may have a smaller farm that has 3 crops a year that are higher intensity crops versus the larger farm that may only have 1 crop a year, and that's why they would have the lower irrigation.
And that's why we try to do it that unit amount by inches annually, just to be able to show, be able to compare again, apples to apples, even though the scale is going to be vastly different sometimes.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Okay. We don't have a motion second?
You sure?
So moved.
Had a lot of discussion about it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.